Joe graduated from Middle Tennessee University in 1981. He's a private businessman and farmer. He was elected as a state representative in 2008. And he announced as a candidate for the United States Senate on August 20th of this year. Joe, welcome.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Mark, very, very much for hosting this or co-hosting this with the Beat Lamar Forum. More importantly, thanks to each one of you for taking your time to come out and do this. This is very, very important. We're here for one reason and one reason only, and that's to beat Lamar Alexander in 2014. There's no other reason why we're here. So as important as this process is, to the extent that it retards or inhibits or doesn't produce the result of replacing Lamar Alexander and putting a constitutional, principled conservative representing the state of Tennessee in the United States Senate, then we haven't done what we set out to do. I'm committed to that process, and I'm glad you're here tonight because you show your commitment as well. So the Beat Lamar Forum, like the sign says, is we're here to beat Lamar. I'm 55 years old. I've been married 30 years to the same woman of Virginia Reeves, who's from Jackson, Tennessee. I have 3 lovely children, Aaron 30, Maddie 27, and Joe Jr. 13. I'm a proud grandfather of Colby, who is 2. I'm a small business owner. I'm an electrical energy consultant, although I'm not an engineer. I have a consulting business that's helped large manufacturing companies reduce their electrical energy costs. I'm a farmer. I own 95 acres in the northeast corner of Rutherford County in a small community called Las Casas. I'm the son of a fighter pilot who flew tours in Korea and Vietnam. And this next little line is real important because it's going to tell you something about how I'm knitted. I went to 8 different schools in the first 8 grades. And for those of you who are military brats, as a young boy going to 8 different schools in the first 8 grades, there's one thing you learn to do and learn to do quite well. And that's take a punch and fight back. And I won some and I lost some. But I learned at a very early age that the best way to deal with a bully in whatever walk of life that you choose to go through, the best way to deal with a bully is by not backing down and taking him on. And what we've got in a federal government is a bully. That's what we have, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion. And I believe I'm right. And I think to a large extent that's why you're here, because you, like I, are getting bullied around. And I've had all I'm going to take. And I reached my threshold on November, I think it was 6th, that's when the election day was, 2012, when this country doubled down on 4 more years of Barack Hussein Obama. And I drew a line in the sand. And I decided on that following day, after having a conversation with several dear friends of mine, that being irritated and frustrated was no longer enough. I'm past that. I think this great country of ours, which was established in my mind, and by virtue of what I believe that the Constitution and Declaration of Independence is, by divine providence, by God's almighty hand, that this country is suited for great and noble purposes, and it indeed has its best days in front of it. But only if we are going to pick up the mantle and embolden ourselves with what the Declaration of Independence says in the last line. The last line of the Declaration of Independence says this: our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Now, if the signers of the Declaration of Independence can pen that, half of whom lost their lives within 12 years of signing that sacred document, surely Joe Carr and you and I together can say, you know what? Tennessee deserves a constitutional, principled conservative in the United States Senate. That's why I'm here, and I believe that's why you're here. The process is important. I am submitting myself to you tonight to be vetted. If I'm found wanting, that's fine, because the process is important. This is serious, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how many more chances we have. I really don't. But I'm not willing to negotiate any longer on my principles and my values that were given to me by God and enumerated in the Bill of Rights. And so I get very passionate about it, but I'm very resolved in knowing what I've got to do and what I need you to help me to do to move Tennessee to the tip of the spear. Not unlike those 36 Tennesseans that were at the Battle of the Alamo the very night that Santa Anna raised the flag that said there will be no quarter given. And they knew it. They knew that night they were going to die. They had a chance to leave. They did. 36 of them from Tennessee. They had a chance to leave. And they stayed. And they did not die in vain. And all I'm asking us to do is resolve ourselves to the task that is before us, to take the mantle from a man who votes with Barack Obama 62% of the time. We can do this. Now, I want to spend just a minute. Hold on a second. Also old and need glasses. This is my third forum/town hall. And because this is a Beat Lamar forum, I think we need to look at the record so we exactly know what we're dealing with. And it's so long, this isn't even exhaustive. This is just this year. Bear with me. Lamar Alexander voted yes on the internet sales tax. Voted no on Rand Paul's budget, which would balance in 5 years and eliminate 4 cabinet departments, replace the current tax code with a flat tax, and fundamentally reform entitlement programs. He voted yes. Lamar Alexander voted yes on the physical cliff tax hike bill that included the raising of taxes on income, debt, capital gains, dividend taxes, and payroll taxes. $600 billion in taxes. That was this year. Lamar Alexander voted no on banning earmarks. Lamar Alexander voted yes on cash for clunkers. Lamar Alexander voted yes on the bank bailouts. Voted no on the amendment that would prohibit taxpayer-funded auto bailouts. And voted yes to bail out Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Lamar Alexander co-sponsored and voted yes on a $40 billion bill to give 11 million illegals amnesty. He voted yes to proceed with a 2013 gun control bill ban. He voted no on ending green energy subsidies. By the way, they just announced today that Solyndra is not going to cost us $500 million, which Lamar Alexander approved, but $1 billion. We also find out today that the EPA is going to proceed with tighter and tighter regulations on the coal industry. And it's going to produce not 1 ounce of cleaner air. And yet it's going to decimate and literally ruin the coal industry. As a side note, the United States exports more coal to China so they can burn it in an unclean way than we actually burn here in the United States. He voted no on term limits. By the way, we need term limits, both in the House and in the Senate. He voted for unions. He voted to confirm Sonia Sotomayor to the United States Supreme Court. Does anybody know what Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor is famous for? She said regarding the Second Amendment, it is irrelevant. Now, why would you confirm somebody to the United States Supreme Court that says the Second Amendment your right to carry is irrelevant. It is a right, ladies and gentlemen, enumerated, not given to us by the Constitution, given to us by God, enumerated in the Constitution. He voted to confirm Chuck Hagel, Secretary of Defense. He voted to confirm John Kerry, Secretary of State. Voted to confirm Tom Perez as Secretary of Labor. That's important. Do you know what Secretary of Labor Tom Perez just did? The Supreme Court has just ruled, well, they ruled several months ago, that DOMA was unconstitutional, Defense of Marriage Act, okay? But in stating, they said the states had the right to define a marriage, essentially. The Secretary of Labor has circumvented the Supreme Court's ruling and is requiring now the states, all 50 states, to recognize gay marriages in the matter of distribution of incomes and benefits through a 401k. And you haven't heard one word out of Congress. And finally, he voted to confirm, just recently, it happened today as a matter of fact, voted to confirm Samantha Powers, UN ambassador, who said instead of giving money to Israel in defense of its Muslim terrorist neighbors, we need to take the money that we give Israel and give it to the Palestinians so they can establish a Palestinian state. That's what has happened. That's just happened today. My point, ladies and gentlemen, is if you're satisfied with a man who represents Tennessee and Washington, D.C., that votes with Barack Hussein Obama 62% of the time, you're in the wrong meeting. If you want somebody who deeply believes and will fight for not just Tennessee, not just for Chattanooga, but for the United States of America and what the Founding Fathers principally understood, what we were and who we are, then this vetting process is important. And so as we go through the rest of this evening, and we can spend, Mark said an hour, we can stand here all night because it's that important. I'll stay here as long as you stay here. But with that, Mark, I'll be glad to take your questions.